Hey guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. A couple bloggers are getting sued in federal court, and 9 plaintiffs are claiming that John Yates and Sharrell Lloyd, or from Sharrell's world, and her husband Perry maliciously spread false stories about them, and the 9 of them are a variety of individuals that have apparently been covered by blogger John Yates on Sharrell's channel, Sharrell's World. So the main headliner of this lawsuit is Jenelle Evans of Teen Mom 2, and it involves a dispute between her and Devin Clegg. This is crazy. Now, I've gone through my own lawsuit, so I'm going to do all of this with a very high grain of salt. We don't know what will actually happen here, and obviously claims of defamation are so hard to prove because you have to prove that the people that spread the alleged lie did so with a malicious intent, and that can be challenging in a court of law. So this is how it all breaks down. The Sun broke the story today that Jenelle Evans, formerly of Teen Mom 2, was suing John Yates and Sharrell's World. The lawsuit, which was actually filed in Utah, which for a second I was like, whoa, Utah. What's with Utah? But we'll get there. The lawsuit includes several different people, including Amber Sherrington, Andrew Kenton, Young One University LLC, Amanda Grace Crosby, Jenelle Evans-Eason, Jennifer Kozar Richardson, Fritz Drexler, Joseph Amilla LLC, and Joseph C. Amilla, and Jane and John Does 1 through 20. They're all the plaintiffs, and they are suing John Yates, Trina Sharrell Lloyd, Sharrell's World LLC, William M. Lloyd, aka Perry Sanders. So the lawsuit is going down in Utah, and this lawsuit, including a woman named Amber and another person named Joseph, both live in Utah. The other plaintiffs are in California, Colorado, Indiana. You've got North Carolina, obviously, with Jenelle, and you have over in Nevada, apparently, Sharrell and her husband, and then John over in New York. This is a wild case. This is a wild one. When I saw this today, I was like, wow, this is a lot of people, but it seems like people that maybe are upset with these two have joined together to file a joint lawsuit, which is kind of odd when you think about this. But my guess is that it's expensive for these types of cases to go through federal court. And if you have a bunch of them together as plaintiffs being represented by a single attorney, it cuts down the cost. And when you go in like this, it might be easier to win in terms of claims if there's less, if any of the claims are true. Each individual person has their own claims and could each individually be dismissed. So this is a doozy. But the defendants in this case are Sharrell William LLoyd, who is Perry, and then you have Jane and John Does, who are apparently accounts that are identified and joined to the lawsuit as soon as anyone else is identified. There are sock accounts or whatever that they believe are connected to spreading these malicious lies. They say this: under the federal rules of civil procedure rule, plaintiffs are numerous and in different states. So basically what it says is the plaintiffs are numerous but in different states to the extent that filing individual lawsuits in each of the jurisdictions is not only impractical but also for the purpose of judicial economy. The plaintiffs have all been injured out of the same episodes, lives, and transmissions, and the defendants are the same in each and every case, making the claims and defenses similar to each party and to each defendant. Finally, the lawsuit may be brought in federal court if in any of the jurisdictions, and the plaintiffs and their counsel will fairly and adequately protect the interests of the class. So effectively what they've done is filed a class action lawsuit against them. Basically, these cases are expensive, and because they're all claiming that the same people have done the same things against them and they all have the same claims from an economical standpoint as well as from a protection standpoint, going in together, they claim will help them have a better chance of winning and save them money. They also say they're seeking an injunctive relief against the defendants for persistent and declaratory actions and statements made against them, that the defendants have refused to curtail their activities and statements despite having received a cease and desist letter from the plaintiffs, to the extent that final injunctive relief of corresponding declaratory relief is appropriate, respecting the class as a whole. Wow. You know, I've been on the other end of Sharrell, and maybe I should join this. Just kidding. I am not trying to get involved in another lawsuit, you guys. So the plaintiffs have questions of law and fact common to class members, and the predominant over any other questions affecting only individual members. So there's a plaintiff named Richardson, and then her husband. They say that in 2020, she allowed John to move into her house in Indiana. They say that John threatened the plaintiff Richardson with that he would file a CPS report against them and would make a false claim of abuse and neglect against her children, which promptly ended their tenancy. And then they say that on February 13th, 2020, the Ogden's Due police report appeared at plaintiff Richardson's house, stating that they had received a child neglect report and they were to investigate. And later that afternoon, they claimed that CPS arrived, stating that they received a report of abuse and neglect. And then they say on February 17th, the plaintiff Richardson filed a police report against John for trespassing and issued a warning was issued against John. And then on February 28th, they say that John Yates then aired and broadcast a live stream interactive event program on YouTube where he told he and his audience discuss topics live, and he allowed them to make comments while on air that were subsequently recorded and posted on YouTube. I feel like I remember that story. I think she got interviewed by another channel, but I can't remember. And then they say that he released private information against the plaintiff and discussed not only the allegations he levied against her, but also telling his fans to call CPS and ODPD and report claims against her. They say that on March 8th, he went live on his online platform, accused plaintiff Richardson of stealing from him and hiding the stolen items in her drawers, which was untrue. They say that on March 10th, he released a video on Instagram stating that she was harassing him and accused her of neglecting and abusing her children. On June 11th, they say that he accused plaintiff Richardson of attempting to SA his husband and having an affair with another man, and also publicly disclosed her husband's place of employment and personal residence to his online viewership. Wow. These are pretty ooh. Now, I don't know what John's side of this is, but that's wild. And then they say on October 20th, 2020, she discovered that the defendant Yates created a blackmail email account to store information about her prior to their tenancy with him. And then wow, these are like for long. They also claim that on October 21st through 24th, that he went live in another attempt to discredit Richardson and to attack her viewership. And they say that on October 26th, 2020, he admitted online in a YouTube live video that he was subsequently posted on YouTube as a video that he gave another fan the information to call the police and user information to call CPS. This sounds like borderline harassment if this is like false reporting. But again, these are allegations. None of this has been proven yet in court. And then they say on November 20th or 19th of 2020 that he discussed filing another false report to CPS and the police department, wherein the guest and online contributor indicated that they will call CPS and report the plaintiff Richardson concerning the false abuse and neglect allegations and persist in information campaign against the Richardsons. So that's one of the plaintiffs. The next plaintiff is Drexler. So they say that on October 13th, 2020 through November 20th of 2020, doxed the plaintiff Drexler's wife's information showing that she worked at the Mayo Clinic in hematology and oncology research departments, and called plaintiff Drexler a racist and questioned his wife's political views on white supremacy. During the same period, they say that Yates threatened plaintiff Drexler by stating that he would hate for anything to happen to him or his wife or the companies that they managed together. They say during the same period, defendant Yates released plaintiff Drexler's image on Instagram, released his full name and a video wherein he claims that the plaintiff Drexler is a racist against persons of color. During the same period, they say that he released plaintiff Drexler's wife's name and photograph, her work address and location, and asked his followers if they wanted to report her to the Mayo Clinic, and asked them to report that her husband was a racist and describe that how that made them feel. I don't know if this is true, but if you're a YouTuber, telling your fans to report people to the police or report people to like their work, that seems like a little severe. But again, these are just their allegations. I don't know what the actual truth is here, but that concerns me. Now for Jenelle's claims, these are what Jenelle says. On March 31st, defendant Yates posted a YouTube live video that was subsequently posted on YouTube. With Tracy Carnazzo, and talked about Plaintiff Eason's dismissal from a new podcast. Oh yeah, this was a story that was a long time ago. I think I talked about this on my channel. They say that defendants Yates called Devin Clegg, who said she was at the kickoff event for the Girls SHIT podcast, and that defendants Yates said that the plaintiff Eason was let go from the podcast. Devin Clegg told defendant Yates that she was hired a month ago for the podcast and that she was not aware of Jenelle's past. She says that defendant Yates stated that it was brought up to the management team that was enough for the plaintiff Eason to be fired, which was untrue and affected plaintiff Eason and her business opportunities because defendant Yates made a false statement about plaintiff's business and prospective businesses. Defendants Yates indicated that plaintiff Eason was let go and was asked not to attend the event due to Yates' comments on his live broadcast. He stated that when she showed up at the event, she was denied access to the VIP area and was asked to leave or otherwise excused, which is not true. And then they said that on April 1st, 2021, he went live on YouTube and posted a video on YouTube with defendant Lloyd. So this is the first time Sharrell shows up, and defendant Sharrell's world. And they say that they repeated the false statement of previous night about plaintiff Eason being let go due to his statements on the podcast and other online celebrities not wanting to work with plaintiff Eason. So she says that he basically goes online, says that Devin got her fired and that it was because he reported it that she got fired, which I don't think that's actually true. I don't know if that's what actually was said, but I feel like that wasn't actually what happened. And then the claim goes on to say that they say that defendant Yates stated that that Jenelle claimed that she was not fired and was a producer, which was true concerning plaintiff Eason and her role on this podcast. And Yates stated that Jenelle handpicked Devin Clegg to be on the podcast and planned to get her podcast started. Yates read a statement posted by Devin about not supporting anything related to Jenelle and her husband David Eason due to their past, and she would not be working with Jenelle Eason. And then they said on April 1st, John went live on YouTube and posted a video on YouTube and said all he could say is that those rumors came out the same time a certain person got fired from a podcast and her name rhymes with Renelle Pevens, which again was unfounded and false information concerning plaintiff Eason. So with Jenelle's case, I'm not really sure what the issue is here and how. So she's claiming that she wasn't fired and it wasn't because John got her fired by reporting the story and reporting what Devin said. This one seems a little bit cloudy to me. I don't know how that is going to go on in court, because that to me almost sounds like John's like reporting what someone else is telling him. And as long as he has a source that's telling him that this is what happened, she can't technically sue John. But again, I'm not a lawyer. So Andrew Kenton, who's from 90 Day Fiance, he says that they made statements regarding them taking out a PPP loan. And he told defendant Lloyd that he went live on his YouTube channel and posted a video on YouTube about Andrew regarding airline tickets he purchased, loans from the government, and his limited liability companies. And then they say that Sharrell went live on YouTube discussing his Andrew, and added that it was a preview for tomorrow's live broadcast because it was a big story about Andrew Kenton from 90 Day Fiance. So they were going to talk about his phony loans. They claimed that he and his mother were contacting smaller blogs to gain attention in an attempt to clean their government fraud. But they also wanted to remind viewers that Kenton was doing what he was doing still amounted to fraud. So they say that he took out PPP loans that he didn't need. And they say that the headline for the YouTube episode was Andrew Kenton's daycare is defrauding the government, and the amount in controversy would be a felony level offense. So they're saying accused Andrew of committing a felony. And anytime you accuse someone of committing a crime and it's not true, that can certainly get you into trouble if you did it maliciously. So it says, during the live stream on April 6, 2021, John Yates, Sharrell, and Sanders revealed that plaintiff had PPP loan documents and his address, and falsely claimed that he falsely created an LLC to receive a PPP loan. They say that he had established his daycare prior to COVID and the PPP loan program. So they say, Kenton says, this isn't true. I've had this daycare since before any of this started. But they say that Yates, Lloyd, and Sanders claimed that he set the business up for the sole purpose of receiving PPP loans, which is not true. You actually have to prove your income, and you also have to provide statements to the government in terms of what your payroll is. So I don't think you would actually be able to just set up a company and then be like, hey, can you give me money with no documentation? That doesn't even make sense. But this is what they're alleging. And they're saying that they also alleged that he used the money to purchase airline tickets for the show 90 Day Fiance, which aired on TLC network of programs and viewed on cable networks. And he says that's false because the PPP loan did not issue until July 2020, and that was well after the plane tickets had been purchased. And they said that then they went live again on her YouTube channel and repeated the claims against them and his daycare, and they said that he defrauded the government by making false statements on his application, which again is a felony offense, falsely claimed against this plaintiff and his business. And on the same date, they say that the defendant Lloyd indicated to a third party that she was attacking Kenton and his business to curry favor with the Sharp network in her attempt to secure exclusive interviews with the participants of the show. Whoa. So the next plaintiffs are all together, and that are plaintiff Amelia and plaintiff Crosby. And they say that they went live on their channels and they claimed that crazy things were going online about Devin Clegg and Jehoon Lee, and that somebody from Team Jehoon reached out to him with information. And they said that Yates made false statements alleging that these plaintiffs had Jehoon's Line app login and Instagram login, and she was texting online celebrity Devin, posing as an online celebrity Jehoon. So they're accusing her of logging into Jehoon's account and posing as Jehoon to talk to Devin, I guess. Then he says that defendant Yates falsely stated that every time money was low, plaintiff Sharrington would threaten Jehoon to go live on YouTube or Instagram to raise money to defraud the public and Jehoon. Defendant alleged that plaintiff Sharrington and Alamilla had formulated this plan prior to the launch of Jehoon's GoFundMe account, and that defendant Lloyd would provide additional information on the situation. They also say that Yates further alleged that these plaintiffs would boast to others that she had been watching Devin for a long time and claimed that she lived next to her and that she may or may not have been stalking her, which is again a criminal offense in Utah. They say that he claimed that Jehoon removed the GoFundMe account because he did not like the threats he was receiving from this plaintiff Sharrington. They say defendant Yates also claimed that money more than 3 people had come forward with evidence that they had been submitted to the police. He asserted that he knew there was a laptop left in Korea and that Devin had a lot of pictures on the laptop and he had seen the pictures. He also claimed, they say defendant Yates stated that they were directives from certain people within Plaintiff Sharrington's group telling her to spread revenge P from the laptop, which is a felony allegation against them. So they also say that the defendant Crosby was guilty of, defendants Yates then alleged that the other person, Amanda Crosby, was guilty of fraud for $16,000 Ponzi scheme, which is a felony in the state of Utah. They say that defendant Yates also stated that the title of the GoFundMe account had already been changed 3 times and that Sharrington, Crosby, and Alamilla and their defendant were defrauding people in the amount of $16,000, which is a felony offense in the state of Utah and was directed specifically at Plaintiff Alamilla's professional license and Plaintiff JCA's business and prospective businesses. They say that Yates indicated that the money that they made from this PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo equaled $16,000, but he stated that the estimate was closer to $20,000. Then they said that Yates on April 9th claimed that Amber Sharrington had naked pictures of Devin on her page and referred to Plaintiff Alamilla and JCA when he stated that these were low-class lawyers. And then they said, and then Alamilla is a lawyer. And then they said that defendant Yates further claimed on YouTube Live that Plaintiff Sharrington and Crosby and Amilla were shady as F. And in chat comments during defendant Yates Live, they say that someone pointed out that the misappropriation of fund will get an attorney disbarred and proceeded to claim that this plaintiff would be disbarred, and defendant Yates stated that as well. Okay, so he's claiming that these 3 people conspired to rip off Jehoon's GoFundMe, raise money, and to blackmail Devin or something. So apparently they were sent cease and desist letters. So on April 10th, they say that defendant Yates, defendant Lloyd, and defendant Sanders were sent cease and desist letters regarding their false, misleading statements and warning that if it continued, that the plaintiffs would protect themselves and their reputation to the fullest extent of the law. On April 17th, Yates went live on YouTube with online celebrity Alicia Clegg, which is, I believe, Devin's mom, and defendant Yates streamed for more than an hour and 50 minutes. And then on April 26th, defendant Yates' episode amassed more than 4,400 views. The crazy thing is these videos don't have a ton of views, but obviously these people are upset that enough people are being influenced by these lies. And if some of these people are not public figures, that's a lot of people believing in an alleged lie. Like, I don't know if it's true or not, but this is what their claims. John Yates was alleged to have told his viewers that he believed the funny part of the cease and desist letter was that he claimed to have never mentioned Jehoon's GoFundMe account or the people behind it, although in the prior episode of his YouTube channel, he spent over half an hour spreading false and defamatory statements about the plaintiffs. And he claimed that it all came out on about April 7th, 2021, when Jehoon posted that he owed his attorney an additional $11,000. They say that he further claimed on YouTube live broadcast that as far as the cease and desist was concerned, he would not mention certain people's names because of it. He also stated that on this same broadcast that he understood how they worked and that they are written by a lawyer and that he worked for attorneys since 2007. He said that Yates indicated that he wanted the plaintiffs to pursue him because he understood that a lawyer must write a cease and desist letter. Then if the defendant broke the cease and desist, the people must give the attorney thousands of dollars to come after him in court. They say that defendant stated that if the plaintiffs wanted to come after him in court, file a lawsuit against him, and then he could go ahead and do it. And defendant Yates went on to state that if he were breaking the cease and desist letter, then the plaintiffs could sue him. Defendant Yates then claimed that $30,000 was raised for a custody case that was never filed, and that money was misappropriated to Jehoon's slander suit against Devin, which would be a felony in Utah. And then they said that there was slander suit filed by Jehoon against Devin. None of the money raised from the GoFundMe account was utilized for the slander suit. They say They say that the defendant Yates again stated that if he broke the cease and desist letter tonight, that he wanted the plaintiffs to sue him. And then Erica, which was Devin's mom, stated that another online personality had a current restraining order against John Yates, which supports the claim that defendant Yates has a history of salacious, false, and misleading statements. So they apparently gave him some chances, and I guess he was just kind of saying, sue me. And for some people, they might not care. Like, maybe he feels like they have nothing to sue. He feels that their claims are baseless, or maybe he'll just like file for bankruptcy. I don't really know. Maybe he's like, well, I don't have money anyway, so sue me. But who knows? They say that on April 17th, he went on a live and to provoke and encourage his followers to take action with comments as whoever lives in that state, call the bar on them. They say that Plaintiff Ella and Plaintiff JCA received 2 negative online reviews by people for whom he did not contract with or for whom he had not represented. They say the reviews appeared after he had told his followers to file reviews and complaints against the Utah State Bar. On April 23rd, he received 2 bar complaints from persons who were not his clients and who follow defendant Yates, both of which were against his professional license and against his business. Okay, so basically people who are not this guy's client are reporting him to the bar, which isn't really how that works. And that's really intense to like tell someone to report someone to the bar that isn't that actual person. So what I'm seeing in this lawsuit more than anything is that all of these plaintiffs seem to say that he's using his platform, telling people to do things on his behalf to effectively like harass whatever the person is that he's talking about, allegedly. They say that on April 23rd, 2001, Plaintiff Drexler received complaints on his professional license at the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Affairs that were false allegations. That's a lot of damage to be done if this is actually what happened. And then they went live on Sharrell's channel, they say on April 20th and 21st, and those broadcasts amassed over 3,000 views. They were saying that the one person was posting nudes of Devin, stalking her, and running a hate page against them. So it seems like they're almost doing some work for Devin or on the behalf of Devin, and then these other people are like connected to Jehoon, and there's like a fight between them and whatever. And then they say on the same date, defendant Lloyd reported that her YouTube live that children were being threatened by children were being threatened by the plaintiffs, and that the same program broadcasted. Lloyd stated that the plaintiff and Crosby and Sherrington forced Jehoon to go along with the lawsuits and threatened him. And she called them effing crooks, apparently. And she also claims that Sharrell claimed that he knows how attorneys work. She was a paralegal and a court reporter, and if my attorney was on the phone with a client for 5 minutes, as soon as he hung up, he would say, bill her for an hour. Anyone who works in the legal field knows that's how attorneys work, which is defamatory and is an attack on the plaintiff Ella professional law license against plaintiff JCA. On the same YouTube live on April 20th, they say that Sharrell alleged that the plaintiff Emilla's billing is a total disbarment right here. So she's going after how he's billing people and then suggesting that he should be disbarred for that. This is a lot. Like, they basically are claiming that Yates and Sharrell are teaming up and targeting people and spreading malicious lies against whoever it is that they're reporting on. A lot. There's a lot. I don't know, like, what constitutes, like, how this will all work and if they're going to be able to claim jurisdiction in Utah. But it sounds like they're making pretty big claims against these people, and these people are saying, this isn't true, this isn't supported, you're actually accusing me of a crime, which I didn't do. And they say that they're basically saying that they kept making all these false statements over and over and over again. They got ridiculed, they were harassed, so they say that they intended to deprive the plaintiffs of public confidence, injure their business and professions or trade, failed to delete the defamatory information, intended to be subject to the plaintiff's public ridicule, violence, and contempt. Oh, they're also suing for a civil conspiracy, and they say they worked together in combination for the object purpose of injuring and harming the plaintiffs, their reputations, their businesses, and their professions. The conduct was exhibited in a meeting of minds to accomplish this purpose, as defendants have appeared together on numerous shows to injure and persistently harass the plaintiffs. These actions and conduct by the plaintiffs were unlawful and overt, and as a direct and approximate result, plaintiffs have been damaged in the amount to be proven at trial. So they're alleging that the two of them were working together, and they're saying that they were doing this to harm people that were direct competitors, people that were direct nemesises of Devin Clegg, and people who they felt were threats to them. Sharrell has published a lot of false things about me, and the two of them have attacked me together. I have never thought of suing them, but I kind of, in that context, can kind of see where they're coming from. The court of law will actually have to figure this out. And so the damages they say that they've lost is like $75,000, but they're also claiming that the court can decide how much to award them for punitive damages and for the damages of the conspiracy. And so their prayer for relief is that they want a monetary judgment to be entered in the favor of plaintiffs against the defendants, an amount proven at trial with consequential damages, general damages, special damages, court interest, punitive damages, court costs, attorney fees, all from the applicable dates. And from the date of this filing to when the judgment amount is paid in full. So the number on the lawsuit says $75, but it sounds like they're going for a lot more, which makes sense because there would have to be a pretty high award they're expecting to get for this to go into a class action and for a lawyer to be working on a class action side. Typically, lawyers that work from a class action perspective will just take a portion of the damages, and they get the other percent goes to the people that are represented by the attorney. So we'll have to see how this goes. They have not responded to this. If any of these claims are true, this could be a challenging lawsuit for Yates and for Sharrell, and we'll see if they respond. But I will say this, in my own opinion, I have been on the receiving end of malicious lies by both of these two about me, at least by Sharrell, about me, including that I'm a racist and that making really outlandish claims about my husband. And I know what it feels like to be on the receiving end of that. I have a larger platform, so it hasn't hurt me, but she's made a lot of videos about me, so I totally understand why they would be angry. And she does disregard and laugh when people ask her to take things down. So maybe this will cause her to think or have to refocus her time and energy. I don't know, or maybe she'll deny all of it. At the end of the day, you've got a couple reality stars and then other bloggers that are suing them, and they are saying that Sharrell and John Yates coordinated together to damage other people's reputations to benefit them. So we'll see how it all goes, but tell me what your thoughts are about all of this in the comments below.